focus has moved beyond treating disorders and identifying disorders, and it has moved to a realm of focusing on interventions and concepts which can grant a positivity to life. It is gratitude. So many a time we tend to confuse gratitude and appreciation. If we have to explain what gratitude is, I will put it under two headings. One is gratitude is all about affirmation of goodness, and second part is figuring out where the goodness comes from our lives. It has been proven in research that gratitude actually drives a sense of purpose and a desire to do more. Good evening, everyone. Today, we are here to discuss a very important but a topic which has usually gone undiscussed, or a topic which has not received due attention. This is a part of positive psychology. Earlier, the emphasis was on making sure that there are no health issues in terms of physical health, mental health. Earlier, the priority used to be given to ensure that people are not depressed or people do not have anxiety. The emphasis used to be on recognizing the signs of depression, the signs of anxiety, the signs of disorders in particular. But right now, the focus has moved beyond treating disorders and identifying disorders, and it has moved to a realm of focusing on interventions and concepts which can grant a positivity to life, not just absence of disorders, not just absence of negative components in life, but the focus has moved to interventions which can add a much needed positivity, happiness, joy to our life. And when we talk about that context, gratitude deserves much importance. Let's start today's presentation. The first slide. Yeah. So if we can see the screen, this is a scene from Simpsons. So here we can see that Bart Simpson is asked to say grace at the dinner table. And what he's saying is, dear God, we pay for all this stuff ourselves. So thanks for nothing. So I'm sure we all have our thoughts about this, about saying grace and saying that we pay for all this ourselves, so thanks for nothing. In a sense, we can see that he is right. Generally, if we interpolate this to our life situations, we can say that we have a tendency to think that we are responsible for all the good that happens in our lives, that we have worked hard to achieve it, we deserve it, we earn it. We tend to think this way when good things come in our life. However, we always tend to place in a second fiddle the role that our family members, teachers, friends, even strangers, and all those who have come before us, and the role they have performed in making our daily lives easier and making our existence more comfortable. It's mind-boggling to consider how much people have gone out of their way to make our lives simple, easy, and comfortable, and many a time we tend to ignore it. So on this note, let's start with the outline of today's presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what I'll be talking about in this presentation, I have listed under the following headings. First, we'll look at what gratitude is, what the benefits of gratitude are. If we need to understand why we need to discuss about a particular topic, it is important that we are clear in our minds about how does it affect us, what benefits does it confer on us if we know and practice a particular concept in our lives. Third is about development of gratitude across childhood, adulthood. How does the concept of gratitude evolve in us? Next is about influence of parenting. Then we talk about interventions to foster gratitude in children and adults. So this will be the general outline of our talk. Okay, yeah, let's move to the first slide. What is gratitude? So many a time we tend to confuse gratitude and appreciation. So when we just talk about the terminology appreciation and gratitude, it might seem synonymous, but there are slight differences. So gratitude is the process of acknowledging that we have a lot of goodness in our lives. It can be events, positive events that happen to us, positive experiences, people who enrich our life. Appreciating, acknowledging all this goodness is what is comprised in appreciation. However, gratitude goes one step further. It recognizes that there are positive things in our life, and it also attributes those positive events to forces which are outside us, forces which are not even within our control. Particularly, we try to recognize the efforts of other people to make our lives easier. So here in gratitude, it encourages to recognize the positive things in our life, to attribute it to other people, other forces outside us, and also it encourages to appreciate the gifts and to repay them. That is, we are bound, we feel gracious in our minds, and we feel that it is our duty to repay the gifts. And one other thing is, it is not only a gratitude to repay the person who has given us the gifts, but that gratitude also extrapolates to repay other people or pay it forward. That is, when we are full of gratitude, we tend to help others and pay forward the good things that we have received in our life. So gratitude is also called as moral memory of mankind, because it reminds us of the good in our life, and it reminds us to pay it forward and to repay it. Yeah, next slide. So now, if we have to explain what gratitude is, I will put it under two headings. One is gratitude is all about affirmation of goodness, and second part is figuring out where the goodness comes from our lives. So you affirm that there are positives and goodness, and second part is where is this goodness coming from? That thought process also has to go into understanding the concept of gratitude. Next slide. Yeah, first we look into this concept of affirmation of goodness. So here we affirm, we acknowledge that there are good things in our life. That is, it can be in terms of gifts, benefits that we receive from others. It doesn't mean that life is perfect. It doesn't mean that, we turn a blind eye to all burdens and hassles and difficulties in life. But it just means that we have a balanced outlook towards life, where we look at life as a whole and identify the goodness in life. And that is what gratitude encourages us to do. So what happens is, many times it is easy to miss the goodness in life because we simply just get used to it. Most of our emotional symptoms like new things. We like a change. So when we don't have something, suppose we anticipate, we work hard towards getting a new car. Once you get the new car, before long, that novelty is lost. So the new car no longer excites you. The new house that you worked to build for so long, once you start staying in the new house, the novelty wears off. So then you don't feel particularly grateful for that new house. So gratitude reminds us to appreciate the value of all the gifts in life and not to take it for granted. And instead of adapting to good things in life, instead of forgetting the value of good things in life, we celebrate goodness. We constantly remind ourselves that all these good things are to be celebrated. Yes, let's move on to the next part of gratitude. Yeah, second part is we acknowledge that there is goodness, and then we figure out where the goodness in our life is coming from. So here we recognize that the source of goodness in our life is outside ourselves. We give due recognition to the positive traits, to our hard work, to all the things that we have put effort in. However, we also humbly acknowledge that other people have also worked hard. Other people have also gone out of their way to give us the good things in life. Sometimes, if you are spiritual, people tend to attribute it to a higher power, to God, a spiritual power who's looking out for you. We start to recognize the contributions outside ourselves, the contributions that other people have made in our past, in our present. So the important part of this is that when we realize that other people have gone out of their way to help us, we also tend to think that they must have seen some value in us. That is the reason they appreciate us, they consider us valuable, which is why they have gone out of their way to help us. So that in turn can transform the way we see ourselves. we kind of start feeling valued. We think that other people find us valuable, which is why they have helped us. So that kind of self-worth can go a long way in transforming the world around us. Once we feel that we are valued, we can do a lot of good things to the world around us. Next, next let's look at the three important components of gratitude. So for the process of gratitude, we need to have a benefactor. Benefactor means the one who gives us the gifts. Somebody who freely and intentionally, not forcefully, not under any duress, not under any pressure, out of their free will, they have intentionally provided some benefit to the beneficiary. So the beneficiary is the second component. Beneficiary is the one who receives the gifts. So beneficiary, the second part is that the benefactor gives, the beneficiary receives and recognizes and feels good about the good intentions of the benefactor. So you recognize and feel good about the intentions. And third component is that beneficiary also has a free wish to repay the benefactor. I feel grateful that I have received the gift from you and I wish to repay it to you. And whenever it is appropriate, with something that is of value to the benefactor. That is, if I have received a gift from you at an appropriate time, I will repay it to you, and I'll repay it in such a manner that the way I repay or the things I repay it with is something that you find beneficial. So something that is beneficial to the other person is how we repay it. So now that we have understood about what gratitude is, about the components of gratitude, let us see, why do we need to talk about gratitude? What is the significance or benefits that gratitude confers in our life? The next slide, please. So we all know that gratitude can affect our mental health. We will go to that in the next slide. But does gratitude confer any effects on our physical health? I'm sure many of us have not thought about it. There have been various studies, research on gratitude and its effect on physical health. And it has been shown that gratitude, a particular study, which I've quoted in the beginning, where they have studied that individuals with higher gratitude, these are patients with heart failure. And it has been noted that individuals with higher gratitude have better sleep, they have less fatigue or tiredness, their inflammatory markers in the blood, those values were also lesser as compared to those who did not report much of a trait gratitude. Now, studies in arthritis or inflammatory bowel disease have also shown that higher trait gratitude is people who have a tendency to see the grateful, tendency to be grateful and see the good things and appreciate the positive things in life. So those individuals also reported fewer symptoms of depression. In patients who have chronic pain, higher gratitude was associated with lower scores on depression and anxiety and better sleep. Patients with type 1 diabetes, gratitude interventions have shown that it can improve the glucose control. Their glucose control after taking gratitude interventions was found to be better as compared to those who did not take up gratitude interventions. And in acute coronary heart syndromes, gratitude interventions was associated with better health behaviors. That is, these individuals who had higher gratitude were eating good and healthy food, they were indulging in physical exercise, they were adhering to their medications, they were taking their medications very strictly. So now we might be wondering, how can gratitude translate to all these health benefits? So it has been shown that gratitude can affect the hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis, which is responsible for producing cortisol. So cortisol is associated with higher stress levels. So this in turn, or by acting on HPA axis, that is by reducing stress itself, when you're grateful, your stress levels itself go down, your cortisol levels go down, your sympathetic nervous system activity is also reduced. When you're feeling grateful, you feel calm, you feel relaxed. When the sympathetic nervous system, as we all know, is responsible for heart rate, your blood pressure. So once your sympathetic activity goes down, heart rate becomes regulated, your blood pressure becomes under control. It can also reduce inflammation in the body. So through all these mechanisms, through alleviating the stress levels, through reducing the cortisol levels, through reducing the sympathetic nervous system activity, gratitude in turn can translate to health benefits in these individuals. Now, next slide, we'll look into the benefits associated with gratitude in mental health. So sometimes we can think that if you're gracious, if you feel grateful for all the good things that you have received in life, you feel very satisfied. That might make you feel lethargic. That might undercut your ambition in life. You might feel, I'm satisfied with whatever I have. So why do I need to put in more effort? So that is actually a myth. It has been proven in research that gratitude actually drives a sense of purpose and a desire to do more rather than becoming less ambitious. So when somebody feels grateful, they feel that they have to give back the goodness they received. So that in turn drives a sense of purpose in these individuals. So individuals who are grateful have been found to have better life satisfaction, optimism, subjective well-being, and positive effect as in positive emotions. The second one, it has been noted to counteract hedonic adaptation. So hedonic refers to the pleasures in life, the enjoyment of pleasurable things in life. So what happens is when people get used to the positive things in life, the pleasurable things in life, after a point, those things that you used to enjoy or derive pleasure from earlier, those after a period of time, you do not find them more enjoyable or pleasurable, and you start taking it for granted. So gratitude encourages people to deliberately focus on what are the good things in their life rather than taking them for granted. So then you savor whatever positives you have in your life. You do not get used to it. You get maximum enjoyment and satisfaction because you're constantly reminded of the goodness in your life. This point is also important. Can gratitude make us less materialistic? So there have been research studies which have shown that people who have higher levels of gratitude tend to be less materialistic. And this can be explained or mediated by satisfaction itself. Grateful people may be less materialistic because they are more grateful for the good things in their life. They feel satisfied with their current situation. They don't feel much of a need to acquire new things to feel more satisfied. So again, it makes us less materialistic. Also, it builds coping capacity. So in the face of stress, in the face of negative emotions, having a positive emotions like gratitude can cancel the negatives. It can counteract the negative effects. So the next one is protection against burnout. So in studies which have involved employees, teachers, etc., it has been shown that employees or teachers who were displaying higher levels of gratitude tended to have less burnout. They were able to cope up with their situations better. And like I mentioned earlier, when you have gratitude, you tend to feel that other people see value in us, which is why they are helping us. And that in turn help us feel valued, and that can increase our levels of self-esteem. So in short, it can help in improving positive emotions. It can lead to higher performance in our activities, better satisfaction with life, and contributes to overall psychological well-being. Next slide. Now, have there been studies which have looked into gratitude in children? Yes. So, in studies that have been done in children, we will talk about it in the subsequent slides. Having a grateful predisposition is associated with positive outcomes for children and adolescents. So, children who reported higher levels of gratitude were found to be more interested in school. They have better academic outcomes at school, and overall, they tended to report a better or a happier experience with their school life than children who had lower levels of gratitude. Also, children who have higher levels of gratitude had higher pro-social behaviors. Pro-social behaviors are social behaviors intended to help others: kindness, generosity, compassion. So when there is an increase in pro-social behaviors, there are better interpersonal relationships. Let's look about it further in the subsequent slides. I'll also elaborate about pro-social behaviors in the next slide. Next slide, please. Right. So now, how does gratitude promote pro-social behavior? Like I mentioned, empathy, kindness, compassion, tendency to help others. So gratitude, as we all know, is a moral effect or emotion. That is, it motivates our behavior towards others. So how does it help? One is, when we are grateful, we recognize the good deeds of other people. It helps us, motivates us to reciprocate the good deeds of others. So we know that others are helping others. We want to reciprocate the good deeds, and we also want to repay it. We want to reinforce the initial good deed by repaying it. And the third component is, you repay it to the person who has given you the gift, as well as you pay it forward to third parties. You realize the gift that you have received, and you develop a mindset to help other people who might need your help. So in that way, gratitude can contribute to more positive and pro-social interaction with families, so schools, community, and workplace. So let me give you an example. So in a particular study, what they have tried to look at is, um, there were particular individuals who tried to help children write a cover letter for, this was in college students, so cover letter for their job applications. So some of the participants were thanked for helping them write the cover letter. Some of them were not thanked. So it was found that the participants who were thanked for helping the students were more likely to help the particular student write another cover letter in future. And these individuals also had a more predisposition to help other children, other students who also require their help with cover letters. So this shows that when a person receives gratitude, somebody helps you, you pay back your gratitude to them, and that helps the person itself help other people in future, as well as help you again in future. So then so like I mentioned, receiving the expression of gratitude can increase pro-social behavior in the person who receives the gifts, as well as the person who receives the gratitude, or the person who actually gave you the gifts. So that's why it can go in a bi-directional manner. Right, next slide, please. Now, what is the importance of gratitude in building and maintaining relationships? So this particular theory is something that I would like all of you to remember. It is called find, remind, and bind theory. So this was proposed by a US psychologist named Sarah Algo. So Sarah Algo hypothesized this theory to emphasize the importance of gratitude in building and maintaining close relationships. So through gratitude, people recognize the thoughtfulness of others. They understand that others have gone out of their way to help them. So this in turn helps them identify people who are good candidates for future good quality relationships. They are able to find or identify the people who are looking out for them, people who value them. So they know these are people to whom they have to stick on. These are people worth investing their time and energy in. So it helps you identify the people who are good candidates for relationships. Second is, it reminds people of their existing relationships. In their existing relationships, their parents, their siblings, their partners. So about the good things that their family members, their partners, their teachers have done for them. It reminds people of the goodness of the current relationships that they have. And the third part, that is the bind part, it helps people bind themselves to their partners and friends, because when you feel grateful, you make them feel appreciated in return. You do things that make them feel appreciated. So in turn, you have a bi-directional relationship. You recognize these people are going out of their way to help you. You do things that you show your appreciation towards the other person, and in turn binds you closely to the other person. So that is about find, remind, and bind theory. Next slide, please. Now, how does gratitude develop in young children? This is also important to know, because many a time we would have seen young children. I also have a young child. My daughter is 4. So sometimes I remind her to say thank you. And sometimes, when she does not say thank you, or when she does not appreciate a gift, temporarily I also feel, why is she not appreciating the gift? Why is she not being thankful? Why is she not saying thank you spontaneously? So that is where we need to understand the stages of development of gratitude in a child. So Piaget, he's a psychologist, who conceptualized the stages of cognitive development, the stages of development of thinking in children. So Piaget conceptualized that gratitude is a feeling that emerges between a beneficiary and a benefactor, somebody who receives the gift and somebody who gives the gift. And here the beneficiary values not only the favor, that is, does not appreciate the gift received, but also values the benefactor. So in very young children, you need to understand that this positive feeling may be associated only with the benefit received. They might appreciate the chocolate or candy that they have received, but they do not probably feel positively towards the benefactor, which might be why they do not spontaneously appreciate or spontaneously say a thank you. Prior to age 7, most children in studies, they have not perceived that they had any kind of obligation to return the favor or that they had to appreciate the person who gives them the gifts. After age 7, many children tended to say thank you or tended to try to repay the gift, but their reasoning for repaying was that because their parents have told them so. My parent has asked me to share my toy, or my friend has given me a gift, so I have to give my friend a gift back, because otherwise my parent will scold me. So that is to avoid a negative judgment. So it is not a feeling coming from within. For older children, that is from the age of 11 to 12 years, returning a favor was considered more as a moral value than arising out of compulsion. So it is very important that we understand the stage of development in children. Next slide, please. So this is further about the development of gratitude. So prior to developing gratitude, children need to develop something called theory of mind. So theory of mind is an important neurodevelopmental process that has to happen before children develop gratitude. Theory of mind is the process of understanding our own emotions and the ability to perceive the other person's emotions also. So this theory of mind starts developing in most children by the ages of around 3 to 5, where you're able to understand your own emotional states as well as the emotional state of other people around you. However, most children do not develop gratitude by the age of 3 to 5 because gratitude is more complex. It has more cognitive complexity. It involves theory of mind. It involves moral cognition. It involves feeling rewarded for the gifts that you receive, feeling of being rewarded when you repay the gifts. All these cognitive processes have to happen. So in most children, by 7 to 10 years is when gratitude starts developing. Now we cannot not say that entirely it is due to neurodevelopmental process. It has to come out of its own. Children are also being affected by what they are experiencing, situations around them, what they are being taught. And children's early experiences of gratitude may be based on what their parents model, what do they see in their parents, and in the course of their relationships with the world in general, with their siblings, with their friends, teachers, what they see on media, part of what do their culture teach them. So all the social situations also teach them gratitude. Next slide, please. So this is the first empirical study on the development of gratitude. This was conducted by a researcher named Baumgarten-Trammer in 1938. So here they tried to see whether children express their gratitude when they receive a gift, and how do they express their gratitude to somebody who has given them their gift. So this was conducted in 7 to 15-year-old participants, and these students were to write what was their greatest wish and what would they do for the person who grants them that wish. So now many of the children, so they collated the responses that they got as to what would they do for the person who gives them that gift. So the type of responses that they got were classified as: one was verbal gratitude. That is, when somebody grants them their wish, they would say thank you. Verbally, they would reciprocate. Second is concrete gratitude. That is, you reciprocate them not only with a thank you, but you give them something back. But what you give back is what you yourself like. That is, a 7 to 10-year-old, suppose an adult has granted their wish, the 7-year-old might like candy. So they might think that the older person also might like candy. If they give them back, if they give another candy to them at a different time, they might feel happy. So they might give them the candy. So it is what the child itself likes that the child returns back. So it is a concrete gratitude. Child is not able to think what the other person wants. So the third part is called connective gratitude, where the child connects with the other person and the child reciprocates with what the other person wants. What is the other person's need? What is the other person's desire? And they try to give back what the other person wants. So unless the child develops the theory of mind and is able to understand the emotion of the other person, the child will not be able to understand what it is that they have to do to express their gratitude. So in the study, it was shown that most people young age of 17 or 7 or older age of 15 tended to say verbally thank you, but the younger children tended to express concrete gratitude more, and the older children tended to express connective gratitude more. And so this shows that gratitude becomes more sophisticated as children grow up. Next slide, please. So yeah, this is called, so now, like I mentioned earlier, neurodevelopmental process is something that we have already looked into. Now, what is the influence of the experiences that are given to children, influence of parenting in particular on children? So there was this Raising Grateful Children project that was conducted by Andrea Hassong. She's a psychologist based in University of North Carolina, and she conducted a focus group discussion of parents. And in the group discussion, what they tried to understand was how parents think about child gratitude and how parents try to cultivate gratitude in children, and what are some of the hindrances or barriers that parents face in their attempts to cultivate gratitude in children. So they have conducted the study on 101 pairs of parents and children, and they gave the parents a 7-day diary to note their findings about the child's gratitude. Next slide, please. So what they noticed at the end of the study is that there are 4 important components of gratitude that they noticed in their group discussions. They have noticed that gratitude comprises 4 parts. One is noticing, stopping and paying attention to all the good things in life, just not taking it for granted, recognizing and seeing the thought and the care that goes behind the gifts that we receive. So noticing what we can be grateful for, that is step 1. Second part is thinking about why we have been given those gifts. We tend to feel more grateful when we think that the other person gave us the gifts because they value us, because the other person gave it intentionally out of the goodness of their heart, and not because they were pressurized to give us the gift, not because we earned the gift, we worked hard, and that is why they were forced to give us the gift or appreciation. So how we think about why we receive the gifts is also important. Third part is feeling about what we have been given. So we understand, we think about why we were given the gifts, we understand it was a behind the good intention behind the gift, and we feel happy, or we feel connected to the other person that we have been given the gift. And the fourth part is doing something, giving a thank you or paying it forward. So you appreciate, doing is repaying the gift or paying it forward to others so that others can also have a positive experience of receiving. So notice, think, feel, and do. These are the components. Next slide, please. And so what they noticed is that most parents who took part in the study encouraged their children to say thank you, but very few parents encouraged their children to experience gratitude in other ways. That is, we have seen there is a notice part where you notice the good things that you have got, you think about why you received the gifts, you feel happy and connected to the other person. So parents have paid less attention to helping children cultivate these 3 components. So most parents tended to say children, okay, thank you, say thank you or give a gift back. So the do part was given emphasis, and the notice, think, feel part was not given emphasis. So I think many of us can relate. When our children do something good, we tell them, say thank you to uncle, say thank you to your teacher. But do we actually help them to notice the goodness, think about why they gave the gifts, or feel the happiness and connection? So they also noted that parents who themselves encourage children in performing more gratitude socialization acts. Gratitude socialization acts refer to social service action, volunteering, visiting relatives, or somebody who's sick in the family, helping them. So parents who tended to engage children in these activities, in those parents, their children tended to display more acts of gratitude. So parents socialization gratitude acts were associated with children's displayed gratitude. Next slide, please. So now, based on this study, this Raising Grateful Children project, what do we conclude? How do we help develop gratitude in our kids? So first one, we need to help children understand their own thoughts and others' thoughts and feelings. So here we also need to remember that we need to align our expectations with the child's cognitive development. If you tell a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old to understand the intentions behind the other person's good deed, they might not be able to do that because it is not appropriate for their cognitive level. So you need to remind older children of all the adults, the supportive network of grown-ups in their life, their parents, their teachers, the siblings, grandparents. So you need to remind them of all the supportive network that they have. We also need to encourage children in participating in activities which promote gratitude, volunteering, making them think about other people's circumstances, helping the needy, making them think about the gifts received in their life, encouraging them to pay it forward to another person. So parents can teach all these. We need to take it one day at a time. Children are not going to instantly develop gratitude over a few days. Next slide, please. So we also need to talk to them about why you feel grateful. We need to share moments of our gratitude towards children. So what we can do is maybe have a particular time during dinner or just before bedtime where we speak to our kids. And the family members, the father and mother, can share 3 good things that happened in their lives and encourage children also to talk about, say, 3 good things that happened in their life. So when you share your moments of gratitude towards them, they are also encouraged to develop gratitude. So expect gratitude to develop bit by bit. Be proactive and reactive. As and when you see children expressing gratitude, suppose your parents did something, cooked a good meal for the child, tasty meal, their favorite meal, and the child says thank you and hugs their grandparent, you can tell them how you felt when you saw them do that. You can express your appreciation and your feelings when you see the child express gratitude. So when you express your positive feelings, the child's act of gratitude is getting reinforced and they tend to thank people or appreciate the benefits received more. So you need to express your feelings when you see them express their gratitude. Next slide, please. So a quick guide. So you need to communicate the value of gratitude to kids and tell your kids how you feel. This component is very important. Tell your kids how you feel when they express gratitude. They might say thank you to you. They might hug you and say thank you, mama, thank you, papa, that you did this for me. So tell them how their gratitude made you feel. So seeing that you're also you're also appreciating their acts of gratitude can help them continue their acts of gratitude. And how others would feel by their expression of gratitude, ask them. Help them practice gratitude. You yourself should model acts of gratitude which they can imbibe, and engage them to think creatively about how could they express gratitude to others. Suppose they tell you they feel grateful about something, ask them, what can we do to express your gratitude? How do we say thank you? What can you do to express your gratitude? Help them come with creative strategies. Next slide, please. So now this is more about curriculum, and for teachers in particular, there have been particular curriculums which have been developed to help inculcate gratitude in children. I have listed 2 prominent curriculums here. One is benefit appraisal curriculum. So benefit appraisal is nothing but grateful thinking. You appraise the benefits that you have received in a positive manner. You're grateful for the benefits that you've received. So this was based on a study by Fro et al. So there they developed a curriculum which broke gratitude into smaller parts. So lesson 1 was an introduction about grateful thinking. Lesson 2 was focusing on helping students understand a person's intention, good intentions while helping. Third lesson was the costs incurred in helping. That is, what does the person who has given the gifts, what difficulties or what sacrifices did they have to make in order to give you the gift that you received. And fourth lesson was based on understanding the benefits of receiving a gift or service from the other person. So all these are crucial components of a gratitude experience. And so they have designed a particular curriculum and the curriculum was based on 5 lessons. So those who are interested can try going back and looking into this benefit appraisal curriculum. And there is another curriculum called gratitude curriculum, and this was proposed by Greater Good Science Center at University of California. So they have, in addition to the activities in this benefit appraisal curriculum, they have also suggested certain additional activities during these appraisal sessions. So in the following slides, let me list out certain particular activities in this gratitude curriculum. Next slide, please. So one is gratitude challenge. So here, this is a challenge that you give your students. So these are things that you can do for yourself also. I would recommend that parents and teachers do these interventions yourself before you suggest this to your children. So here you challenge yourself to find as many good things as possible in your daily life. The more you could find, the better. So it's a challenge to find more things that you can be grateful for. It could be big things, it could be small things, it could be things that people gave you, or a service that you got from people, or it could be even bad things that did not turn out to be as bad as anticipated. So you anticipated that a teacher is going to scold you for not bringing a textbook or for not completing the homework, and probably the teacher did not scold you. The teacher told, okay, maybe next time. So things that turned less bad as compared to what they anticipated. So in different areas of your life, in your school, in your health, in friendships, in things that you own, in kindness that you receive or support that you receive. So you challenge them to write about all the good things that they have received. For example, at home, I ate a delicious breakfast because mom took the time to cook me a breakfast. At school, a friend held the door open for me and they were being nice to me. So challenge them to write down as many grateful things as possible. Next slide, please. Next is gratitude journal. So here, what teachers could do is, regardless of the subject that you teach, prior to starting the class, you can ask the students to jot down what they are grateful for. So they could also list why they think, why they are grateful for the things. And what you could also do is, you can make students write it, and you can have a gratitude wall in your class where, children post the things that they are grateful for. Next one. So there have been studies which have looked into the effectiveness of all these interventions. So here a study where middle school students were asked to list 5 things that they were grateful for daily for 2 weeks. And this was compared to other students who were asked to write about the difficulties in their life, and another group who just wrote about basic things that they happened in life. And the group that kept the gratitude journal, those students tended to exhibit more optimism, more life satisfaction, less physical complaint, and more satisfaction with school experience itself. Next slide, please. This is yet another activity where this is called a good week reflection. You choose another 1 or 2 entries from the gratitude reflection, a gratitude journal, and you think more about it. Was it somebody who was nice to you, or was it some gift that you received? And why did the person do it? And what efforts did that person have to make it happen? How did it affect you? Describe the whole experience. So here an example is, grandpa gave me a ride from home. He didn't go and play cards with his friends because he cares for me, and he took time from his schedule, and so that I wouldn't feel tired at the end of the class. So I'm happy that I got to see grandpa. I got to reach home early. I got extra time to play because grandpa came to pick me up. So you ask them to reflect about that experience in detail. Next slide, please. Next is subtracting good things. So sometimes it helps to subtract the good things from your life. How life would have been if that particular good thing did not happen. That also can lend perspective. For example, if grandpa did not give me that ride back home, I would have had to walk home in that horrible heat, carrying my heavy backpack. I would have been tired, hungry, and I would not have been energetic enough to do my homework, study in life. So that act of grandpa, how did it make a difference to my life, would be given more perspective when you think about if it had not happened. So that is subtracting good things is also an exercise you can do. Next slide, please. Gratitude letter. So here you encourage students to think about an adult, or anybody whom they are really grateful for and to whom they do not usually express their appreciation much. It could be parents, it could be grandparents, it could be siblings, and write a letter to express their gratitude. So when they write a letter, you need to remind them to be very honest and specific. That is, this is a particular thing that I noticed, and I felt very happy that I received it from you. And how much does it mean to me? How did I feel about it? So the ways the person has helped, how the person's help benefited, the time and the effort that that they took, and how they feel about it. They could write about the whole experience. You could encourage them to go and read that letter to the person, and then they could also come back and discuss their experiences after all the students conduct their gratitude visits to the person to whom they have written the letter. You could encourage them to come together and discuss about how did they feel about reading out the gratitude letter. They might feel a little bit awkward, but I'm sure that kind of experience can work wonders for the person who listens and the person who actually reads the letter. So I remember when I was a child, my parents would encourage me to write a letter to our grandparents, just writing up about the things about our the things that are happening in our life, and about when grandparents give us some gifts, thanking them for that particular gift. And I remember still seeing the letters in my grandparents' desk in their diary. They would keep it safe, because that act of their grandchildren writing them a letter, that means the world to them. So this kind of interventions can make a lot of difference. Or be it a teacher, I'm sure if a child, if a student writes a letter thanking the teacher, give a card to the teacher would feel so appreciated, and that itself can work wonders for the teacher. So this is a very useful intervention that you can encourage your students to do. Next slide, please. So this is a reading experience you can suggest to your children. This is the book called The Gift of the Magi by O. Henry. So I'm sure many of us would have listened to this story. There was Della and Jim, husband and wife. So very poor couple. Della's most prized possession was her beautiful hair, and Jim's most prized possession was his heirloom watch. And he would, keep his watch very invaluable. He considered it very invaluable. And on Christmas Eve, when they had no money to buy gifts for each other, Della went and sold her beautiful hair to buy a watch chain for Jim. So when she takes it to Jim, Jim is heartbroken to see that Della's hair is not there anymore, because Jim had sold his watch to buy a beautiful comb for Della. So Della sacrificed her hair for Jim to buy a watch chain, and Jim sacrificed his watch to buy a comb for Della. So here, this excerpt shows that two foolish children who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasure of their house. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let it be said that of all who give gifts, these two were the wisest. So their willingness to give their most treasured possession for each other make them the wisest. So at the end of this process of giving, they have each other and they have hearts full of gratitude. So this would be a lovely story to make your children read. Next slide, please. So what teachers could do? So the key principle: help your students to encourage them to appreciate the thought behind the gifts that they receive, and appreciate the cost and what effort or what sacrifice the person had to make to give you the particular help. Teachers could ask, what are some things your friend gave up to help you with your project? So help them think about the intentions and appreciate the intentions of others. Next slide, please. So quickly about the types of interventions in adults. So again, quickly about it: counting blessings or writing gratitude journals helps in adults also. Write down 5 things for which people are grateful for. So these interventions have found to be more effective in individuals who wrote these blessings, were found to have better life satisfaction, optimism, and happiness. Write down good things. So here you could write down 3 good things in your life at the end of a week or a day, and identify why those good things happened, because somebody took an effort. You could also write gratitude letters and visits. It's not only for children. So in your life also, You would have other significant others. It can be your spouse, it can be your parents, it can be your siblings. You could also write gratitude letters and read it out to them. Or if you feel too embarrassed, you can even, write a letter and hand it over to them, post it to them, or email it to them. So it can also make a change in your life. Next slide, please. Next is mental subtraction. So here, sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, subtracting the good things from life, imagining what life would have been if the positive event had not occurred. We take our spouses, our partners, our parents for granted. So just imagine of a condition if they had not been there in your life. That will help you appreciate how much your life is. So here I've put a small poster. It's A Wonderful Life. It is actually a 1946 film. So if anybody is interested, you can try seeing if it is, that film is available. So this is about a man called George Bailey. So this man spent his entire life helping his community, helping other people. But at the end, he feels sad and depressed because he gave up all his personal dreams to help others achieve their dreams, and he feels suicidal. So here, there is an angel who takes him over to his life and shows him a timeline, as though he never existed before he was born, or if he had not been born, how would things in his life have changed. So once he saw that how things were if he had not existed, he understood what value others added to his life and what value he added to other people's life. So if you have time, you could see this movie. It's a Wonderful Life. So next is about death reflection. So this could be a strategy adults could undertake where you confront your own mortality. So sometimes when you reflect, understand that when you think about death, that can also be an intervention to induce gratitude, because we take our existence for granted. We do not think about death in a daily life. So knowing that we have one day where we breathe this air, we live in this air, we have all these family members, we have all these relatives. So thinking about that we actually have this life as a gift to us, that itself will help give us a perspective about gratitude. Next slide, please. So some other psychological strategies would be thinking about somebody whom you are grateful for, practicing saying thank you and meaning it, writing thank you notes. You could encourage your children also to write thank you notes. Meditating on gratitude, mindfulness, where you are aware about the particular moment. You take some time to appreciate this beautiful day, this beautiful, the beautiful breeze around you, the sunlight, the cup of coffee, being aware of the present moment. And if religious, you can express gratitude through prayers. Next slide, please. So the take home points, if I could summarize my whole presentation, what is gratitude all about? It is noticing the good things in life, thinking about the role of others and the good intentions of others, feeling the happiness, and doing things to pay it forward and to repay the person who has given those gifts. And why do we need gratitude? Because it helps us find people who care for us, remind us about the goodness of the relationships, and helps us bind more closely to the people that matter in our lives. The last slide, please. So gratitude implies humility. So humbleness, humility is a mindset that accompanies gratitude. So we could not be who we are or where we are in life without the contribution of others. So once we think about it, that helps us hold the relationships in our life together. So gratitude is basically a social glue. So what I would recommend is, let us all take time to smell the roses in our life. Yeah, I have also, the last slide, I have also mentioned some of the references. So these studies that I have mentioned, the first two, Gratitude Project is a book that is available on Google Books. You would not be able to download it, but you can read it online, the Gratitude Project. The strengths-based gratitude curriculum is available for free download. That is the study I mentioned. Then this benefit appraisal curriculum by Fro et al. That is also study on that is also available. And the last study is Raising Grateful Children One Day at a Time, which we mentioned by Andrea Hasson. So I think you all can try going back and reading about this further, and I'm sure it will enrich your lives and the lives of your students and your children also. Thank you for your patient listening.
What role can parents play in supporting gratitude practices which are initiated in the classroom?
Right. Yeah. So I think it would be if parents and teachers have are on the same page, and if teachers can also share with parents the kind of gratitude interventions or the gratitude lessons that are being taught in the class, or the way they try to inculcate gratitude in children at class, I think parents can also be stakeholders in that. And I think parents can also support the interventions of teachers. So if teachers give them certain activities where they have to write the journals, or where they have to write their blessings and things like that, parents can also remind them to do these activities. And like I mentioned in the presentation, from parents side also, parents can role model gratitude and encourage children to take part in activities in their daily lives where they have opportunities to practice gratitude. So I would say if teachers are engaging in certain activities, it would be good to communicate to the parents also, so those activities can be supported by parents also.
We have another question from Swati Reddy. Will gratitude work in every children? Because people have different mindset already in them. So if not working, as said, what is the solution to change that mindset? Rigid and closed mindset.
um, right. So it is there is no particular straightforward answer to this question, because everybody's temperaments are different. So in children, we have a broad range of children who are easy to work with, who already have a very positive mindset, my outlook towards everything in life, who are actually grateful. Their inborn traits of kindness, generosity are quite strong. But like I mentioned earlier, there is also a role for experience and interactions, the activities that they have been given opportunity to engage in. So I would not suggest that children be given differential kind of interventions. I would say that if parents are able to recognize that probably your children are um, um, lacking in expressions of gratitude, probably giving them more chances to indulge in gratitude related activities, helping them. Maybe you can help them visit needy relatives, or help friends in need. You can help them and indulge in activities of social service, volunteering. You can take them to visit people who are needy and help them. So probably parents, if you feel your children lack gratitude interventions, you can put in double efforts and try to engage them in activities. So as parents and teachers, we can do our bit, and how much the child imbibes is totally not within our control. But I would say enriching them as far as possible with gratitude inducing activities is what we can all do.
We have another question from Annapurna Yadav. Is gratitude inborn or fully developed through training?
Yeah, like I mentioned, so there is something called a neurodevelopmental process of gratitude. So according to the child's neurodevelopmental level, gratitude will start developing in them. And like I said, it involves, so it's not a unidirectional method to develop gratitude. It is the child's predisposition, the child's temperament, the child's developmental level, the cognitive development of the child, in conjunction with opportunities that they get from their surroundings. What do they observe in their parents, teachers? Do they observe people being grateful to each other in their families, in their schools? So all these in unison will determine how grateful the child is. So there is no particular one shortcut or training method that can help inculcate gratitude in children. So what we need to do is parents, teachers working in unison. Plus there would be differences. All Each child is unique, all the children, there's no way to measure and say that all the children would be equally developed in gratitude through training. So I would say each child is different. How they express gratitude, how they experience gratitude would differ, but we need to do our bit to train our children.
Thank you for that. This one last question. How far technology influences gratitude creation in students?
Yeah, right. Like I said, media is also a very important part. So the things that, like I said, children are exposed to media a lot of times. So sometimes it would be good to select particular movies or select a particular books, and from your end you can encourage them to get exposed to media, or get exposed to movies, or any kind of technology which you're sure would promote gratitude in them. So I would not be able to tell for sure what is the role of technology on gratitude in children, because I am not aware of any studies which have been conducted. So from a scientific evidence point of view, I will not be able to give an answer to that unless research has been conducted. But I would say media definitely influences children, and as parents we can use it to our advantage. Like I mentioned, some movies, some books which gives messages of gratitude can be encouraged in, you can expose your children to that.